Hey everyone, it is nostalgia time once again, and we have reached the second and final part of the Windows Server 2008 install race. Man, what a failure we had with the previous episode, and we only got like 2 or 3 builds installed, so that was a disaster. So we're going to try again, and this time with builds leading up to the final release. So we start with the remaining pre-beta and the official beta 3 build of Vista server or server 2008. Build 5472 was compiled on July 13th of 2006, and then to 5492 it was compiled on August 2nd of 2006. And we can see that since we're nearing the end of the development cycle, we can see that everything is pretty much final. So we can save the config changes there. And then one of the official beta 3 builds, 5600, was compiled on August 29th of 2006. And we can see that the final boot screen is now present on 5492. And I can actually just go ahead and turn on the final release to manufacturing build because it's not really an evaluation. Well, it actually technically is an evaluation copy, but there aren't any, time bombs on it. So, when you install Windows Server, it'll be a 180-day evaluation period, and then after that, you'll have to purchase a license to continue to use it. So, we can still see some remnants of Longhorn in 5472. This is actually the first version that comes in both a standard and a core edition, which again, core is like the command line. So we're going to install server standard 32. But now the big question is, can we install it on the hard disk? It looks like yes, we can, but I shouldn't get my hopes too high just yet, because I still need to set this to the official compile date. We're going to do it a few days after this one was compiled in 2007. So we'll go ahead and we'll exit and save the changes there. And release candidate 1 is pretty much final, as we can see. And then 5600 looks to have hanged on the boot screen as of right now. But we're going to let it keep going. And I don't think I paid very close attention to when I got this CD for Beta 3, but I can tell you that pretty much everything about this build here is pretty much like the final release, so there isn't really going to be anything too much different about Beta 3. So, wow, we are in trouble already. We are already in trouble, and we're just getting started. And I believe we can skip the product key, these 2 sections. Yes, we can. We're going to install the standard edition of Server 2008 RC2. And yes, it looks like we can start it from here. But here we have standard without Hyper-V. And we're going to install the... Let's actually do a little bit of a variety here. Let's actually install the Enterprise Edition for the final release. Let's do that. Let's do the Enterprise version. And we can still see that on 5492 and 5600, it mentions Vista, but then at that next screen it mentions Longhorn. So here we're going to install the Data Center Edition, and we'll install the Standard Edition on here. So let's see if we can start the installation on these. It looks like yes, we can on all of them. So it looks like this actually might be a good sign. So now we'll just hit next on them all. And just like that, we're off to the races. So a very nice improvement over the last episode. And look at that, it comes as almost no surprise that the release to manufacturing build of Server 2008 is the winner. But now this actually requires a password, which I will go ahead and apply. Because in those previous versions, you can actually skip a password. It isn't recommended, but you could actually skip the password on there and log in without one. So here it is, Server 2008 in its final form. You can see this is these are the tasks, and it gives statuses on everything. Now, the only variant of Server 2008 that's still supported as of this time is actually Server 2008 R2. There's actually another channel of extended support that goes until 2026, which is honestly amazing. So you can see we only have two things up here, server manager and command prompt. And then of course we have the typical accessories and some server programs, and then some other things like extras and upgrades and support and all of that. So now we'll run WinVer and show you the build string there. Server 2008 Enterprise without Hyper-V. That is something I don't think I've ever seen before. I have never seen this specific version, the version without Hyper-V. So it's pretty unique, I gotta say. And 5472 is almost ready. And the release candidate 1 is also ready to go. So I can press shut down and I can ask that for a reason to do so. And now let's set a password up on this one. And now we can log in to release candidate 1 of Server 2008 Standard. This is the Standard Edition that we installed. And there you go. Just like the final build, except we have Windows Update now in the Start menu. But pretty much otherwise everything else is the same. This just says Server 2008 Standard, so this is just your typical thing, along with customizing the server. Let's see if we can add some roles here. So let's add stuff like Active Directory, Lightweight, and other stuff. But interestingly, the sound works right out of the box, which is pretty cool, to say the least. But otherwise, that's really all there is to see in the release candidate 1. And of course, 5472 still uses the XP sound scheme. And we can see connected to network for the first time. This still says server codename Longhorn. And we basically have the same sort of options as we've had before. So pretty much the exact same. And then here's the prototype server manager in this build. You can see talks about the customer experience improvement program and all of that other stuff. Plus this same documentation on this being a beta build of Windows Server. And we have Server Manager still with its XP icon, along with Internet Explorer and Notepad and a few other things too. And then when we open up the system properties, it says Server Standard and still has the XP icon. If we open up the properties on here, this also still has the XP monitor. Let's pull it up now on the final build. It still has the XP monitor. I'm shocked that even in the final build of Server 2008, it still has the XP monitor and it kept it the whole time, which is impressive. Running WinVer here, it still mentions server codename Longhorn, but of course we will be seeing those things disappear, especially now that we're nearing the end of the development cycle. So there's once again the mandated Control-Delete, and we cannot log in without a password. We'll have to click Reset Password, but it doesn't look like it actually set a password for us, so I don't know if we can even log into this build at all. Well, that time it actually did not ask for anything. It didn't ask for a password or anything like that. And I can tell we have the final sounds, but we can still see it still mentions Longhorn. We still have the same server manager from before. And here's the same one. And we can see the network location thing, I believe, is final. And then we have a program compatibility wizard icon, which appears in this build. So, and then the how to share feedback on this beta release, and then of course we have all this other stuff with the with still the web icon, still the old icon from now on Windows Update. That's still the XP icon, but then again, we can turn updates on, and it's not going to try and pull any updates down because this is a beta build. So with that, I'd say this was a success. We were able to do every single build on that list. And so that completes our install race saga of Server 2008. So in the next episode, we're going to start our journey to... So in the next episode, we're going to actually return to an upgrade saga. And this time, we'll be upgrading from Server 2008 through several different beta builds, all the way up to the final release of Server 2012, which was based on Windows 8. So, until then, and I'll type it here,